Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
The Indiana Fever go BTA to little Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate all of your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. We have just scooted past 13,500 subscribers, still rolling towards 15. We're skipping 14, folks. That's the goal here. We want to get to that nice 15 number. I know we can do it with all of your help. I really do appreciate it. Let's roll into this game first. Big win, obviously. 102 points, which is also a huge thing for this Indiana Fever team. Loved to see Caitlin Clark hit the first three of the game. Now, granted, she didn't have a great shooting night overall, but that will come, folks. It's going to happen. She didn't shoot, like this was not like the other games. Yeah, she was only 2 of 7 from three. I get it. 4 of 12 overall, but that means she was also 2 of 5 on some of the other shots. On the 2-pointers as well. She actually got to the line a couple of times. And of course, we will talk about her assists because a couple of things that I want to point out that I think were absolutely huge. I will go back to something that if you've been around a while, you've all heard me talk about for a long time. First of all, and again, this happens in blowouts, okay? So the end was a little ugly. I'm a little concerned about the end with just some of the players and because you're going to need those players in big moments as well. That's why I'm like, I get the end of blowouts, but it also gets concerning, and I go back and forth on that. It irked me that they almost didn't hit 100 when it looked like it was guaranteed. But the point I want to make: 64 points in the first half. Let that sink in, folks. 64 points in the first half of this ball game, okay? I made a note of what some of those numbers looked like. This is the first half, folks. Natasha Howard, 6 of 7. Aaliyah Boston, 4 of 6. Kelsey Mitchell, 6 of 8. Lexi Hull, 1 of 1. Caitlin Clark, 3 of 8 and 2 of 5 from 3. Those are not bad numbers, folks. If she shot 2 of 5 from 3 all the time, we would absolutely love that. That'd be 40%. 40%. That's what the team shot post-Olympic break last year to lead the league, okay? Michaela Timpson, 2 of 4. Sophie Cunningham, 4 of 5. Erin McDonald, 1 of 2. They shot lights out. Now, the other thing with that 64 points in the first half, which is incredible, you know what they did do? And you've heard me, again, if you have been around here a while, you have heard me talk about this. This is a team that I have said should average 100 points. And what was the other thing? In order to make sure it is that kind of tempo, I said this is a team that should take at least 80 shots a game. Did they make it? No, they felt just short. But again, I get it because this game was a blowout. It changed at the end. But in building that lead, they took 42 shots in the first half. And as you can see, they made a ton of them with those numbers I just rattled off to you. I think they took 70. Let me just double check, right? Let's scroll down. Yeah, 77 for the game. So they were close. Obviously, they let off the gas a little bit the second half, only 38 points in the second half, which is only 2 more than they had in that 36-point second quarter. But 42 in the first half. If this is a close game, they continue to play like that. That's a pace of 84 shots in a game. Now, if you remember, because again, we have talked about this multiple times, it happened when Clark was playing too, but especially when she was out. This was a team that didn't always hit 60 shots, right? I kept pointing out, or sometimes they get 62 or 64, but they were always at a number that would have put them like near the bottom of the pack in the league, and that was hugely concerning. You know what this reminded me of? Do you know what this reminded me of? Well, I'm going to tell you, okay? But you can guess in the comments right below if you want to hit pause. This reminded me of, and I think it was that really exciting Dallas Wings game last year, the game that if we had to pick a point where we could say this is kind of where it turned around, we said that maybe that was the game where you said Christie Sides said, you know what, Caitlin Clark, here are the keys. Let's do it your way. I'm going to step back. We are going to run your offense. We are going to play to your strengths. We're going to read and react. We're going to go up tempo. We're going to Steve Nash the shot clock with getting shots up in the first 7 seconds of every shot clock and every possession. This reminded me of that game. Caitlin Clark, I think, had more. Now, they weren't all assists because we're still missing too many damn layups, but Caitlin Clark had more of those half court, three-quarter court, one or two dribble, get rid of the ball down the end of the court for a layup type passes and assists in this game than I think she had the rest of the season combined. Now, did Caitlin Clark just say, I've had enough? Maybe. I don't know. She might have. I think Caitlin Clark is so nice and so accommodating and all that, but I also think that that competitor in her, I think they go to war at times with each other, and I think at some point that competitor in her always also says, you know what, that is enough. So I think maybe it's a little bit of a combination of the two, because and one of the things that I think it was the second half, there was one play where Caitlin Clark, I think she wanted to ISO and she went to drive, and of course she got slammed by the defender. It should have been a foul. Nothing was called. She backs up to set it up again, decides to bring Dantas over for the screen, throws a great backdoor cut pass to Sophie, who really is in a position though to make the shot. So she kicks it back out the area, and they chuck up a bad shot at the end of the shot clock. And I saw Stephanie White was mad about that and talking. I could see, I forget the exact words, but I did read her lips, and it was something to the effect of, we have to move the ball or something like that, as a, and not allowing Caitlin to ISO, which I think is a really bad decision. Yes, of course there are times when you have to move the ball. I get it. It's basketball. And you've seen the team do that at times with Caitlin Clark, but I don't think Stephanie White is going to too easily let go of her system completely. Because for me, in that situation, what happened there was no reason for her to convey that message to Caitlin Clark. Now, one of the things I'd love to see, if you look at this, Howard finished 8 of 9 in 24 minutes, 8 of 9. Now, I don't like that she grabbed only 2 rebounds. I don't like that she didn't have any assists. I don't think her defense was great, but she did shoot 8 of 9. Why did she shoot 8 of 9? Why was Aaliyah Boston 7 of 11? Why was Kelsey Mitchell 8 of 12? Man, Dantas was off today. It was a shame because otherwise I think she played well. And I will say this, Demiris Dantas, one of Well, Lexi Hall can do it. Sophie Cunningham can do it. But in the situation of the offense and with where they play, they don't get the opportunity to do it a lot. It's usually a Boston or a Howard, somebody like that is going to set picks for Caitlin Clark. And the only one who can really do it that I see do it well as a big who sets the pick to get Clark open and then can be the recipient of a pass back if that's the decision Clark makes. The only one who really sets that pick well is Demiris Dantas. And I thought she played well today. She just one of those days as they happen. Who the shot didn't fall. Sophie Cunningham, big again, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 of 6 from the field, 2 of 3 from three, as a team. And this is with a lot of shots did not fall at the end of the game, folks. And yet they were still 40 of 77, 52% from the field, 8 of 24 from three. Not terrible. But look, Caitlin Clark and Demiris Dantas were a combined 2 of 11. So that's 6 of 13 for the rest of the team. So, again, big numbers. Caitlin Clark, no, she didn't shoot well, but look, she only played 25 minutes. And because of that style of play, that was more Caitlin Clark than anything we've seen. 13 assists in only 25 minutes. Probably should have had 16, 17, 18 assists. Also, steals. She was phenomenal defensively today. It felt like Paige Bueckers was purposely throwing the ball to Caitlin Clark. That's how bad it was. You also had, I think, I only had like one clip I can show, but I think this was. Oh, is this? I think this is the great this is a great midi by Caitlin, and this is what she can do to any guard, folks. She has a size advantage over most guards. That's an unstoppable shot right there. Okay. I don't have it here. I thought I did, but there was a great steal from Lexi Hall and Paige Bueckers where she came down and doubled. Caitlin Clark had Paige played. Lexi comes down and swipes the ball and steals it away from her. But does this mean everything's great? No. No, of course it doesn't. It's one game, but I do love what I saw today from Caitlin Clark. I'm hoping with what everyone else got to do, which is eat, and especially someone like Natasha Howard. Look, here's the thing. When you get a selfish player, even if they don't like a teammate. And I think we can all agree that Natasha Howard does not like Caitlin Clark. Natasha Howard has iced out Caitlin Clark repeatedly. She's brought the ball up the court slowly and refused to give it to Caitlin Clark and on and on. But if you can take a selfish player like Natasha Howard and convince her that her own numbers are better by giving in and playing Caitlin Clark style basketball, that is what she will do because ultimately, yes, it's about her. But again, 8 of 9, folks. She's not, she's going to be okay, I think, playing Caitlin Clark style if she gets the open buckets that she's getting, which is the other thing. Why you got a couple of things. Why are these percentages so high? First of all, Caitlin Clark is a phenomenal passer, right? So we know that, and we know the long passes and all that. So she gets teammates good looks that way. But again, the gravity of Caitlin Clark and the way teams defend her makes it so much easier for other players to get high quality looks. So when you combine the two, the phenomenal passer, the court, or even should say three, because of the court vision as well, and then the ability to execute it in terms of her passing, you get an unbelievable situation for players that play with Caitlin Clark and embrace how she plays. Also, Paige Bueckers is not Caitlin Clark. Paige Bueckers played well. She got some numbers in garbage time as well, but she played well. But again, the point being, what you saw today and what we talked about before is Caitlin Clark makes everyone on her team better. Paige does not. And that's not a knock on Paige. Very few players do. Even stars, even in the NBA, stars, they don't, I mean, their team might be better with them on it, but they don't make their teammates better, if that makes sense. Hopefully, for those of you that may have played or been around the game a long time, you know what I mean. It can be hard to really explain that because I know it sounds weird. They're better with her on the court, but she doesn't make them better. But if you watch enough, especially with Caitlin Clark, you see that difference that I'm talking about. Caitlin started a little more fire today. She fired up the crowd a couple of times, not quite the way she usually does, but it was still there. I think she was pissed when she came out in the third quarter, which again is good because we have not seen that type of fire from Caitlin Clark. Now, one other thing that I wanted to add that does concern me though is this complete lack of desire or system or anything at all that is designed to be at all helpful to getting Caitlin Clark some decent looks at the basket. Everything from Caitlin Clark in terms of her shooting in that play I just showed you all comes from Caitlin herself. And that needs to be fixed. If you want to know, look, we've got the injuries, right? And the time off, and shooters also just go into slumps. But the other big factor that we haven't talked about much, including me, and I probably should talk about more, is she has a much higher degree of difficulty with her shots than anyone else on the team. So of course, even as being a great shooter, her percentages are going to be lower. Just like if you were, and this is why stats aren't always everything, and you have to understand context and the style of the player and who they played with and all of that. Look at somebody like a Kobe Bryant. You look at some of his numbers at times, and you would say, "Oh, he's not really a great shooter." Well, the heck he wasn't, but he took the degree of difficulty of a lot of his shots was very, very high. So was Jordan's. And that was because in a lot of times in big situations, you need a bucket. That's who's going to take it, and they're going to create it. And it's like Kobe Bryant could get a shot any time he wanted. Now, if you do that a lot, it means it's a higher degree of difficulty shot. So the percentages might go down, right? Kind of like that just shot you just saw with Caitlin that I showed you. But you also see it with threes. I'm sorry. And a great example, I don't think I've even taken a breath this video yet. So it's probably going to be shorter than usual for a post game. But anyway, look, Lexi Hull can shoot the three. I think we all know that. But I think we also all know that the reason she was second in the league last year was because of playing with Caitlin Clark. Same thing with Kelsey Mitchell. Heck of a three-point shooter, but I think we all know she gets wide open looks with Caitlin Clark that she doesn't otherwise get, or even this that Caitlin Clark doesn't get because of how she's defended so much differently. Obviously, that affects percentages. Caitlin Clark never gets those looks. Never gets those looks. And that is going to play into percentages as well. So don't even listen to anyone or buy into anyone who's going to talk about Caitlin Clark as a shooter and just be like, oh, look at what she's shooting from three or whatever, because that is a tiny, tiny part of the entire picture. Okay, there's so much more to it, which again, it goes to the eye test, right? One of the few things Sue Bird actually was honest about, which is true, with the eye test, is watch her play. watch her play as opposed to just looking at the numbers, which is what so many WNBA fans, so-called fans do, especially like if they say they're fans of an Angel Reese or something, but they don't actually watch basketball. They don't care about basketball, and then they just look at the numbers, and that's what they start yapping about. But overall, absolutely huge win for the Indiana Fever. This one, Caitlin Clark didn't shoot great, but other than that, she played great. The team was elevated because of the way she played. It looked like the Indiana Fever. This is the closest I've seen them look to the Indiana Fever post Olympic break last year, which was phenomenal. I hope it does not change. I hope this is a sign of things to come because if they play like this, and I said to someone the other day at this point, with the number of teams in front of them by and ahead of them by 2, 3, 4 games, to get the number, I don't know, 4 seed, to get a first rounder at home of the playoffs, first round at home, got to get into that top four. I said they needed to go I think 16-8, which would now be 15-8 the rest of the way after starting 10-10, because they would have to overcome teams who are like 13-8, 12-8, 14-8 already. It's a lot easier for those teams to get to 26 wins. And I think the Fever have to get to 26 wins just to have a chance at one of those top 4 seeds. So step one right now from when I said 16-8, we'll see how it goes. But this is a really, really good sign that they can get to that win total if they continue to play like this. Hey, 1 game, but I'll take it because it's a huge step in the right direction. Not just the win, but the way they won it. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. Appreciate you so much for checking out this video. I really do appreciate all your support. If you haven't done so, smash the like button. It really helps out tremendously. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, as we motor on towards 15,000. Go check out the entertainment channel. I know a few of you have signed up. We're up to like 133 subs over there. I'll try and remember and link it in the first comment if I can. But I'm going to leave it there. Go have the day you deserve. Appreciate you. I will talk to you later.